Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Coming to you from the Trinity River in Fort Worth today, downtown Fort Worth. Back behind me, back over across the river is the courthouse. They film things here, like this Landman series. They're filming season 2 now, and last couple of days they had some roads right around there blocked off, right around downtown. I think some of the Taylor Sheridan stuff has been filmed there, maybe for 1923 as well. Pretty cool. This was called right over here. Was called Hell's Half Acre. Back in the late 1800s, you had Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and their gang roll through here. You had all sorts of people rolling through here in Fort Worth, usually on their way out west. It was pretty rough there, but today it's beautiful, and it's a beautiful setting for talking about. Wanted to talk about the upcoming conclave a little bit. Been doing some reading on and some watching on some of the candidates. Again, not speculating as to who I think it might be, but the reason I'm doing this is because this is the rare time where you can actually get some background on who some of these leaders of the church's flocks are from around the world. These cardinals, what part of the world they're from, how multilingual they are. I was listening to this one guy from Ukraine. The church in Ukraine speaks 8 languages plus academic languages. He sounds like a cool guy. Listening to someone speak about him, it reminded me of Pope John Paul II's story a little bit. John Paul II, as some of you may know, was a Polish pope and the first Slavic pope, I believe. And Poland at that time was, Poland had come out from under Nazi Germany and then rolled right under Soviet Union and communist and brutal suppression of religion there. So he had to take his life into his hands as a young priest, even just studying to be a priest and being a priest. And he came out of that, but people like that get firsthand experience of what's going on. In that case, with fascism and then with communism, and the Soviet Union was the aggressor for Pope John Paul II after the Nazis. But now in Ukraine, this guy is getting first. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name. He is a total long shot for becoming the Pope for a number of reasons. So it's not going to be him, most likely, but a guy with his background, a guy who stayed there through the initial bombing, back in February 2022, and everybody said Russia was going to roll right through to Kyiv and take over everything and kill the government, and which they absolutely would have done. They were stopped by the Ukrainian people, and this guy is on a Russian kill list, this leader of the Ukrainian church, and he stays there. He could have fled. Zelensky could have fled. They were offered safe passage out of Ukraine at the start of all of this. These men, unlike Donald Trump, who cowered in a riot that he instigated by his people, he was hidden and nowhere to be found throughout. These guys stayed to lead their people, and here we are 3 years later, seeing the fruits of that leadership. Russia does not own Ukraine yet. They have not killed the government yet. They have not killed the church leaders yet, and hopefully they won't. So a guy like this papal, not really a candidate, but just someone who I saw someone talking about, very inspiring dude, and it makes you long for that kind of courage and that kind of leadership in the United States, which used to lead the world. When John Paul II became Pope in 1978, Ronald Reagan took office, and then these two guys worked together. They had a common enemy. It was the Soviet Union, and now we see Donald Trump being buddies with Vladimir Putin and trying to advance the interests of billionaires, trying to advance the interests of oligarchy in the United States, is something that Ronald Reagan was not for. Donald Trump is just right out in the open with it. So on a day like today, when we are enjoying beautiful rivers, beautiful weather, the clean air, the clean water acts of the 60s and 70s, birds are chirping here. It is beautiful out here. These are the things that Trump is trying to undo. This is what we talked about last summer and into the early fall, is how he puts people in charge of agencies that are antithetical to everything the agency stands for. He puts enemies of the environment in charge of the EPA. I heard Heather Cox Richardson reading Pritzker's speech this week, just the litany of things that Trump has subjected to people who are standing for the very opposite of those things, people who are trying to tear these things down. It's not in the name of governmental efficiency, it's in the name of these are rules and regulations and agencies that stand in their way of corrupting everything, of destroying everything, of raping everything of its beauty and of its natural riches. This is the government of Donald Trump. And looking back to what we emerged from World War II, and then from the Korean War, from the Vietnam War, and then in the 1970s, what we had to rebuild and build for the first time, and seeing Donald Trump just absolutely tearing it all down in his first 100 days. I guess this is a combination video of conclave watching, which hasn't even started yet. Remember, that starts after 9 days of mourning after the Pope's funeral last Saturday. So the conclave will get underway in a few days here. But remembering a time when our government would actually help us out and work for all of us, and then seeing what Donald Trump has already begun turning it into in his first 100 days in office. Quite the stark contrast here, but enjoying the Trinity River here while it's still beautiful, and enjoying the weather, enjoying downtown Fort Worth. I love seeing it depicted on film. Not watching this landman thing, but I have seen a couple of viral clips about it. Billy Bob Thornton just railing on people who are trying to get away from petroleum products. It's pretty funny. I don't know anyone who's trying to get away from petroleum products. The petroleum's very important to the economy, but it's just to getting to cleaner burning fuel sources, I think, is what we want. Clean air, things that are good for the environment. Lithium-ion batteries are terrible for the environment. We know that. But you've got to keep investing in these things and keep progressing and keep moving towards better solutions than burning oil and gas for fuel. We're not there yet, but I'd like to keep advancing towards those goals, and Donald Trump is not the way we're going to do that. But anyway, that's it for today. Might get back out here tomorrow to a different spot. I think my wife and daughter and Bear, the golden retriever of my daughter, who appeared in one of my early videos accidentally for a second, we may get down here and walk around a different part of the Trinity, because it's just a great weekend for doing that. Okay, stay safe, y'all, and we will talk later. Bye.